Special time for me. I've traveled all the way to England to meet the Searchers, and now my special guest, Mr. Frank McNally. And excuse me, I don't believe I did that.
I don't do anything. I just go wherever you're right.
That's the brother, my elder brother, Frank.
Frank Allen and John McNally. I'm sorry I did that, but here they are. Gotta love these guys. Whatever. I will hand the mic over to them, and then I will ask them some questions. Okay, now since this is a Beatle magazine, I have to ask you, have you met the Beatles? And back in the 60s, probably, obviously. And are there any stories that you could share?
Gosh, we all have. John knows them far better than I did. I mean, he grew up with them, but I only met them later on.
Oh, we saw them every sort of other night at the Liverpool gigs in the 60s. I mean, it wasn't anything special. It was just another group, you know. Us, Gerry, Beatles, Swinger Blue Jeans, Mersey Beats, Billy J. Kramer. It was just a crowd of lads having fun, you know. So, I mean, he didn't take much notice of what was happening. And when people ask you, you know, do you have those memories, you just say, well, the Beatles were the Beatles, just a group, you know.
Yeah, no one thought it'd become what it was. I remember the first time I met them, it was in Hamburg, and I'd told this story lots of times, but I heard about them from the barmaids. I was with Cliff Bennett and the Rebel Rousers at the time. And it was the 31st of December, 62. I desperately wanted to see what they were like, and they were actually great. And they stayed over one more night to see our first show, and as I was passing through to the dressing room, Lennon was coming out, and I said to him, I really enjoyed the show last night. Just want to wish you all the best with your next single when you get back England. They hadn't released Please Please Me at that time. And he said, oh yes, Frank. He says, I've been talking to people around the club, and it seems that in the band next to Cliff, you're the most popular member. I can't think why. Your harmonies are fucking ridiculous.
And nothing's changed.
I'm not quite sure if he's making a joke here or whether I'm being insulted, because like people didn't talk to each other like that. At least they certainly didn't where I came from. But
no, I think Lennon's cynical.
I was being.
I
think I was being insulted. Actually, Lennon, I think, was a very insecure person in lots of ways, in that he had to get the boot in rather than risk being attacked himself. So I think he always thought.
He was always fighting Lennon.
Yeah, attack was the best form of defence for Lennon.
He was a teddy boy.
We worked with them lots of times, though. We worked with gosh, many pole concerts, Enemy pole concerts, Prince of Wales, quite a few concerts around the time.
What do you think of them personally, like Paul or George?
What, I mean, as individual people, as a band?
Fine, I think they're all fine.
Yeah, we don't know them as well as a lot of people know them individually. You know, we're still on the outside of all that. You couldn't say we're very, very close friends, but I can only say Paul in particular has been great to me every time. I've seen him a couple of times in the last 4 or 5 years, and he's never been anything but absolutely
well, he's
great.
More into the
very
public.
PR. Yeah, he knows how to.
The PR man.
Yes, he knows how to do that.
He does do it properly as well.
Yeah.
With the likes of George, he's a bit of a recluse.
Yeah.
Ringo doesn't want to know, does he? He's a bit odd, Ringo.
Well, I think George is a bit odder now. I think he's not only become a recluse, I think he's got a bit cynical about
Lennon's not too clever now, either.
No. But George has become very, very cynical, not without reason to a great extent. He was royally ripped off on his film business, I believe, and then he was attacked by someone with a knife, and he's got very disenchanted with the whole thing. But he seems very kind of like dour. The last time I saw him, he wasn't really fun and outgoing, and I thought, well, that's just such a shame, you know, because despite any setbacks, they've had such a lot in their lives that you've got to be more grateful for it than regretful.
How long ago?
I was a witness in the court case when they took when they took that record company to court a couple of years ago for the bootleg tapes that was made on that 31st of December. That day I was talking about was when they made those tapes. And I was brought in as a witness for the prosecution, and I gave evidence same day as George. He was there, and I said hello to him, and he spoke, you know, but it wasn't sort of like really, you know, great to see you. Thanks for coming and helping us, you know, as me running on like a blue-ass fly up and down to London to help the Beatles save money. God knows why.
I certainly wouldn't.
But you don't. It wasn't that. So, oh, thanks for coming. Really appreciate this. It was, oh, hello, how are you? You know. I don't know. But which is a shame because, you know, Paul would have been different. But everyone's got their own reasons. I wouldn't knock it till I know exactly what's behind it. Right. I don't see Ringo at all, ever.
He doesn't live here. Ringo lives in the States more often, doesn't he?
Right, California, I believe.
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
he's
Well, he's a Californian boy now, really.
But they still were, and they were an amazing group. And there's no doubt that they had something very, very special. It wasn't in expertise; it was just a kind of an attitude. Actually, it was with the Beatles that attitude started with bands. Up to before that, groups and artists posed, and they were kind of quite dynamic, but they didn't have attitudes in their personality towards the media at all. It was the first time people had come out and been quite sort of aggressive in the way they dealt with the press, because up to that time it was yes sir, no sir. We always all said the right things, copied the Americans in being the nice clean-cut lads and good to your mum, that kind of thing.
Right.
And they kind of broke the mould, opened the way for everyone.
So what do you think of their music?
I've always loved their music. Yeah.
And you did Twist and Shout. That's the one that I
Well,
read.
everyone wasn't theirs though, was
So
it?
our
It was
first
the others.
album.
Oh, I know.
So our first album, Twist and Shout, and we did our first album was released before the Beatles.
I didn't realize.
In fact, they took our their first album in America was called Meet the Beatles. Well, our album in UK was Meet the Searchers. They nicked our title, so we had to change our title for the States.
Boy, I didn't realize that.
Oh yeah. So it's a strange little circumstance.
Record company thing, isn't it?
Record company, yeah. They
Yeah.
thought, Meet the Beatles, Meet the Searchers,
But-
so we love that,
Yeah, Twist and Shout was one of those songs that everyone was doing on
Every band
stage
did
at
it.
the time, and but they did a great. But I mean, they were just a great.
They
group,
made it.
weren't
They made it their own.
They
which
were,
is great,
they were, they were excellent, brilliant,
That's the one that
and
caught
so
on.
inventive. I mean, they
Yes.
they didn't just copy. They always wanted to do things in their own way and write their own songs, and no one else really got into that until much later on. We didn't believe we could do it. They believed they could do it, and they did it well. And the songs they wrote were just better than the things that they got anywhere else. And it shows a real talent.
Well, that sums it up.